Welcome to the Workforce Playbook, a podcast hosted by Everywhere English. We help companies grow by upskilling their international employees through language and cultural training. I'm Kate, and in this podcast, I chat with leaders shaping today's workplace. They are sharing real stories about communication, culture, safety, and performance. What's worked, what hasn't worked, and what they've learned along the way. No hypotheticals, no buzzwords, just honest conversations. Hi, I'm Kate, and I'm joined today with Claire Murphy of South Coast Logistics in Cork, Ireland. Claire, I'll let you introduce yourself in a minute. She's HR manager since 2019 with the company, and we are delighted to have her on board today. So, Claire, tell me a little bit about your role and the company that you're working at the moment.
Thank you, Kate. I'm delighted to join you today. I work for South Coast Logistics. We are a family-owned business based in Cork in Ireland. We were acquired last year by Catenate, who are another family-owned business, multinational company based in Belgium. So I'm the HR manager here in South Coast since 2019. I came on board. I've built the HR department really from the ground up. We had no HR department when I came on board. And I have my colleague Maeve DeBarra, who joined me in 2023 as a HR administrator. So we cover all areas of HR, being a kind of small to medium-sized business, from recruitment, retention, disciplinaries, everything end to end with regards to recruitment we take care of and guide the managers within.
Perfect. Fair play. Building it from the ground up. Fair play. I suppose, Claire, right now, what is your focus in particular with learning and development? I suppose tell us a little bit about your team and your focus in HR and L&D right now.
Okay, so like I said, it's myself and Maeve within the HR team. A lot of our focus right now is actually on recruitment and retention. As a company, we're continuing to grow, we're continuing to branch out. It's important for us to attract the right employees. There's most definitely a shortage of skilled workers in our industry, and we've had to become very creative in how we recruit. Looking after these employees and giving them the opportunity to develop and grow is equally important. With regards to learning and development, as I said previously, we're a homegrown family business who we pride ourselves in giving our employees the opportunity to learn and develop within. So when we're recruiting, probably more for the senior specialist roles, we always, where possible, recruit from within. And if necessary, train these employees to give them the skill set necessary to grow within South Coast. With regards to kind of the drivers, the mechanics, they're specialist roles. And, as I said, we've had to become more creative in recruiting those from all over the world, really, to fulfill our business needs.
And Claire, you've been here since 2019 and you've essentially built the HR department from ground up, which is amazing, amazing progress. But how have you seen the workplace evolve as teams become more diverse and more international?
So as teams have become more international and diverse, leadership, I suppose, had to evolve in how they manage and lead. This comes naturally to some. Others need training and coaching. All these international employees, bring something new to our table at each time, and it's a learning curve for us all during the process. Overall, kind of leadership, I think today is less about authority, more about creating clarity and inclusion. And this has been a necessity as we employ people from different countries and different cultures. We saw during COVID, a lot of our employees went back to their original countries, whether it was Poland, Spain, Africa. So, as I said, we kind of had to become more creative on how we were attracting employees and branching further afield. But also in doing that, we've had to ensure that our managers and leaders here can adapt to that. We've employees coming in from different countries, different nationalities, different cultures. Um, I think it's become kind of a core leadership competency, if you like.
Yeah.
Not kind of a niche skill
Yeah. And
to deal.
you're so right, Claire. It filters down from the top. The whole company value culture has to come from the top,
Hmm.
and filter through. I completely agree with you on that one. Absolutely. And I suppose looking at things practically, on a real practical basis for
Hmm.
people listening today, I actually didn't ask you if that's okay. I'm going to jump backwards again now. How many employees would you say do you manage on a daily basis? And what would be a good day for you? What does a good day look like for you?
Well, currently as a group, we have around 165
Wow.
employees, um, and around maybe 100 of those are drivers, and 20 are HGV mechanics who service and repair our fleet of trucks. Um, so on a day-to-day basis, we would be helping advising the managers who lead these people. I suppose a good day for our team right now is when everyone's happy.
No complaint.
When management employees are happy, when there's no immediate issues, and anybody in HR will understand that. Um, you know, Probably on a more serious note, at present, a very good day for us is receiving work permits for employees,
Mhm.
because there has been such a backlog of them. It's been a huge issue. There's one thing attracting the employees, but then going through in this country where we're not great for, I suppose, getting through the loopholes very quickly. There's a lot of red tape,
Mhm.
so this can cause serious delays. For employees starting with us, and we'd have contracts starting. We need to fill these positions. So yeah, overall, a good day for us is receiving permits. But as I say, when we have no issues, when the door's not revolving, that's a good day for us. We can get
Absolutely.
stuff done.
Absolutely. And when you talk about recruitment, retention being one of the priorities right now, I've seen, like myself from the outside looking in at South Coast Logistics, I've seen just online and things like that, that it is I'm sure you won a Great Place to Work award, or was it something along those lines?
Yeah, we were
Um,
accredited as a great place to work. Yes.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Which I find people are looking for more than just a salary nowadays. People are, I wouldn't say picky. I don't know, is that the right word? But people are looking for more than just a salary. They're looking for a genuine, happy place to work where they
Hmm.
can evolve and grow. And
Yes.
it's fantastic the South Coast Logistics has that and holds that reputation. It's
Hmm.
brilliant. It's really, really good. And since 2019, or since when
Hmm.
you arrived in the company and the team has grown and evolved, have communication and cultural changes been difficult? Has there been a time where it becomes more difficult as the team becomes more diverse?
Definitely. As we grow our team and become more diverse, you have some cultures that their communication would be direct.
Hmm.
Direct communication. You know, you could be having a conversation with some people from certain countries, and they come across quite aggressive, but they're
Hmm.
not aggressive. It's
Hmm.
just the way they talk. We have other employees who prefer kind of a more indirect method of communication. So whilst the direct communicators can be perceived, I suppose, as kind of invasive, blunt, that's just their culture. So part of, I suppose, us increasing our workforce is to adapt to that.
Hmm.
um, and especially with managers, that kind of emotional intelligence, if you like,
Yeah.
part of the roles, it has been very important in adapting to that way of communication. They could have a team of 10 employees, and they're all from different backgrounds, different cultures, and they might want to deliver the same message, but it has to be delivered slightly differently to the different
Yeah,
different people. Yeah. So
yeah, it's a training. It's a training in itself, isn't it? And
hmm
at Everywhere English, we always say, and we always talk about when we talk about English learning or people being on the same page with the same language, it's not just the words, it's the communication. Like you said, the
hmm
direct approach and how you communicate and the way you do it rather
hmm
than what you're just saying. So I think when people think about it's a lot as a HR manager to have to manage that,
hmm
and I suppose practically, Claire, what are some like how do you actually manage if you have somebody from Africa coming in or somebody from Europe coming in or and you want to filter down these kind of ways of training? Is there a handbook that you give people? Is it just that you listen more, you pass on the information? Practically, how do you become more emotionally intelligent, if that makes sense, as a HR manager?
yeah, like people as a whole, like I said earlier, some people have it and some people
Yeah.
don't, I think, that
Okay.
emotional intelligence, but it is something that can be taught.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it's being aware of the different personalities.
Yeah.
Even if we have a team of 5 Irish people,
Hmm.
they're all different temperaments, different personalities. And again, what a message that can be delivered to one person can be perceived. We're in a world today where there's a lot of WhatsApping, there's a lot of emails,
Yeah.
um, and personally, that I believe that causes problems at times.
Hmm.
There's no emotion in the messages that we send across, and that can
Yeah.
cause its own problem. Um, but with regards to kind of delivering messages to or communication to employees of different countries, like we have an employee handbook,
Hmm.
but that is purely kind of policies, procedures,
Hmm.
that type of thing. The initial contact that they have with us when they come on board, they come and meet with myself and or Maeve.
Hmm.
We reassure them. We we allow them to use translators if they
Hmm.
wish. We will provide translators. Some of them use an app to translate.
Hmm.
Others wish to bring family or friends in with them if the language is an issue. So we're very adaptable in that way, and ensuring that the messages and communication get across. And ensuring that when they leave us or go out on the field to do their job, that they're happy, that
Yeah.
that they're reassured that all the information that we've delivered to them, that they understand fully, and they can do the best job that they can.
Very good. Very good. Hey, and Claire, just looking at some real life experiences and real life day to day scenarios at South Coast Logistics, how do you help ensure that everyone on the team is heard and their voice is heard even when English isn't their first language?
So I think it's rare for us that we don't have another employee that speaks the same language as somebody else. Usually if we have a recruitment campaign in a certain country,
Hmm.
that we will recruit more than one. We have a lot of employees from diverse backgrounds who speak several languages. So, from a language perspective, we would buddy them up with another employee who, spoke the same language as them to help break that
Hmm.
barrier down. Um, we offer translators, allow them to use, as I said, the translation
Yep.
apps on their phones, etc. We can also change systems into different languages here.
Okay.
So it is very important for us to ensure that everyone's voice is heard. And like a lot of companies, we do have an open door policy. But our office here in HR, with myself and Maeve, it is a safe space. We get a lot of people coming into us. If they don't understand something, we're very approachable. They
Hmm.
don't hesitate to come into us. As well, you mentioned about the Great Place to Work. We got involved with that back in 2024, and we were fortunate enough to get accreditation. They offer surveys. So the way the process works is that a survey gets sent out to all employees, um, looking for feedback,
Okay.
positive or negative. And like with a lot of surveys, people can be a bit, I suppose, unsure how secure it is or how confidential it is,
Right.
but all the communication comes from Great Place to Work.
Yeah.
So it's totally secure. It is quite a long survey, but in that are options to change the language of the survey as well,
Okay.
which was a huge thing for us because, there's one thing as sending out surveys looking for feedback. Um, but if the employee can't communicate their feedback, then we're not getting a true reflection. So when we engaged with Great Place to Work, a big thing for us was to ensure that any surveys that went out offered, I think there might be 9 or 10 different languages which covered everybody that we employed. So it allowed them all to be honest and give their feedback.
And as you said, I completely agree. It's hard enough to be, when you're doing an employee survey, it's hard enough to be honest in your own language, and
It
then
is,
to,
yeah.
to try and translate that into a second language is definitely difficult. So, yeah. But I liked that you mentioned a while ago just a real practical tip for HR managers when they're managing multilingual teams, to use a buddy system when they come in. And that's something that's just really simple, but really effective, and makes people feel more comfortable as they come in, knowing that there's someone else there who's in the exact same boat as them. So even something as small as that is a really, really good tool for people.
100%, yeah.
Yeah,
It is because, people coming in sometimes, leaders can mentor them, but they relax more with their peers.
of
So
course.
somebody that's been through what they've been through and understands, yeah.
It's so natural. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then looking at the future of HR and learning and development, and
Hmm.
this whole space, and employee growth and employee internal career progression. What skills do you think that HR and learning and development managers are going to need in the next 5 years? Things are changing rapidly with AI and internet and all this kind of thing. But
Hmm.
what skills as HR leaders do you think will be needed in the next 5 years?
A lot of patience. um,
Yeah.
I really hope AI doesn't replace that kind
Me
of
too.
people, that human connection.
Yeah.
Um, I think, whether you're a small, medium sized business or a large organization, you know, going into the future, we need to be flexible. We need to be
Yeah.
flexible in our approach to recruitment, retention, and the overall employee experience. For us, the issue of the availability, like I said, in Ireland, of HGV drivers and mechanics is an
Mhm.
ongoing issue. Um, and we've had to be open and adaptable to different opportunities as they arise, for bringing in these employees from other countries with different backgrounds from around the world. We provide accommodation for them. We
Do
help
you?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we
Wow. Wow.
provide
Wow.
accommodation for them. We help them settle, get their PPS numbers, their bank accounts, their GPs, all that type of thing. So it's
Yeah.
a whole package. Um,
Proper workforce and life integration package,
yeah,
nearly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think as well, Ireland's got a lot better with the apprenticeship schemes
Hmm.
in recent years. And, I think this is an area that all HR leaders, people leaders, should consider. I mean, we've definitely, we're involved in the HGV mechanic apprenticeship with Solace, the logistics associate apprenticeship with MTU in
Hmm.
Cork, the commercial driver apprenticeship in conjunction with ATU, and we're just currently recruiting for a sales apprenticeship.
Okay.
So, we're where there's kind of a shortage in the industry that we're in. We're addressing it by going internationally, but also bringing in training homegrown employees as well in the industry. The apprenticeships provide these people with a pathway for the future in this industry. And it allows them to gain that valuable experience, earn money, and have a qualification at the end of it. So we as a company invest in this time, the mentoring, I suppose in the hope that they'll stay with us once they qualify, and it's a win-win then for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have loads of applications now after this conversation, Claire, coming in into your inbox. Yeah, absolutely. Now that's amazing. I didn't realize that you've so much support for people coming in from other countries. That's absolutely amazing. Really,
Hmm.
really amazing. That's amazing. Brilliant. So we talked about the future skills and the soft skills that you think HR
Hmm.
managers might need in the next 5 years. This is kind of a tricky one, and I don't know, does everybody love to answer it? But if you could change one thing about how companies approach communication, even yourself in your own department, you mightn't have the resources to do what you really want to do or something like
hmm
that. What would it be? Is there something that we're missing? Is there something that needs to be integrated into a company that we're just missing when we're managing multilingual teams?
I think um, I would definitely encourage a shift towards more inclusivity and the emotional
Mhm.
intelligence side of things
Yes.
in their internal and external communication strategies.
Yeah.
Um, you know, often companies rely on rigid, kind of formal language.
Yeah.
This can create, especially with the multinational workforce, can create distance between leadership and employees. I
Absolutely.
think we need to remain, human centered, that human centered approach where
hmm
language reflects empathy, the listening, the cultural awareness, and this in turn will hopefully bridge those gaps.
that's I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. We have in one of our values, it's actually written like that, with that human connection. We say language is not mathematical. It's a
hmm
manifestation of history and culture, and that's the way it should be taught. And a lot of people forget that.
Yeah,
A lot of people forget that it is about communication and culture more than anything. It's not just vocabulary. There's
totally. Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so much more to it, like the emotional intelligence and everything behind it. So, couldn't agree more, Claire. Yeah, absolutely. And this is my final question, and this is a question that we ask all our guests at the end of the episode. If there's a HR manager or a learning development manager out there listening today, and they're feeling totally swamped and totally overwhelmed with managing, because it's a big job, HR, there's a lot on one person. And I know you have Maeve there for support, but even for two people, 165 employees is it's a big ratio, right?
And we're still smiling.
Yeah, exactly. So, what advice would you give to any HR leader on if they're feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Is there any advice you'd like to give to anybody in that kind of a situation?
um,
Um,
Kate, I think leveraging the diversity as a strength.
Yep.
Like we mentioned about bringing, in the diversity and the inclusion. I think the diversity brings a unique perspective,
Uh-huh.
different ideas and skills. It can feel like a lot to manage at first,
Uh-huh.
but try to shift kind of your mindset from seeing it as a challenge to seeing it as an asset. You
Yeah.
know, each team member's background adds a layer, I suppose, of creativity and problem solving potential to the team.
hmm
So to encourage that kind of collaboration and knowledge sharing so that each person feels they can contribute in their own way. Um, I would advise to promote clear and open communication
Yeah.
and provide that language support if it's needed.
hmm
And then a big thing, I suppose, is practice self care.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, as a leader, you know, in HR, it can feel very overwhelmed and it can
Yeah.
sometimes feel lonely.
hmm
Because everybody's looking to you for the answer.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling overwhelmed, your team will likely feel overwhelmed too. So it's important to take care of your own well-being, your physical, your emotional, your mental. Schedule time for rest, relaxation, reflection, whatever it may be, and everything else will take care of itself.
Oh, yeah. That's words of wisdom, Claire. Words of wisdom. I honestly, and I learned the hard way with that about 4 years ago. I actually had half of my head of hair fall out with
Oh my
chronic stress.
goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. So when that happened, I said, never again am I going to a place where I was so stressed out and overwhelmed. And
Mhm.
there's no need.
There's no
There's no
need.
need.
No, no.
You can do the exact same job, and also have the rest and also have a proper routine. So,
hmm
couldn't agree more. That's brilliant. Claire, that's been really, really good. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate your insights and even all those little tips. 100% about the self care and giving yourself time, even having the buddy up system, having patience. These are all things that we have to adopt when managing multilingual teams. So, thanks a million for coming on today,
Thank you,
and
Kate.
we really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
No problem.
Take care, Kate. Bye bye.
That brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like and subscribe. You can also find more episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you the next time.